you look at me, you look at hate.
When I look at you, I look at hate.
When you look at me, you know what hate is.
Year's almost done and I still got some time to make a TheDeathMetaller reviews. Hey everybody, this is Atticus TheDeathMetaller and welcome to this year's final episode of the TheDeathMetaller reviews. Here in this episode we are going to be reviewing what I consider the redemption album of 2019, As I Lay Dying, and their brand new release, Shaped by Fire. But before we get down onto the review at hand here, as always with every TheDeathMetaller reviews episode, let us do a little history and bio of the band now, shall we? Named after the 1930 novel written by William Faulkner, As I Lay Dying is a metalcore band formed in San Diego in the year 2000. As I Lay Dying's influences include In Flames, Living Sacrifice, Iron Maiden, Slayer, At the Gates, Pantera, Megadeth, Cannibal Corpse, Thin Lizzy, and Earth Crisis. Although As I Lay Dying has stated on numerous occasions that all the members of the group are practicing Christians, the band is usually described by the media as being in the metalcore genre, not Christian metal. The band's lyrics do not focus on Christian themes the way many praise music bands do, nor do they treat their music as a direct extension of their private Christian worship. For example, not once do the names of God or Jesus appear in any As I Lay Dying song, nor do any of their songs explicitly invoke Christian doctrine or quote the Bible. Most songs tend to address broader spiritual concepts like existential angst or the struggle between reason and spirituality. The band has released over 7 albums, including the one I'm reviewing, won Artist of the Year 3 times in the San Diego Music Awards in 2005, 2007, and 2008, nominated for a Grammy for Best Metal Performance for their song Nothing Left, amongst many other awards. During the 2000s, this band had a great career, and it looked like everything was going smooth for the band. That was until May 7th, 2013. Tim Lambesis, the vocalist, was arrested in Oceanside, California, US, after hiring an undercover detective to kill his estranged wife. He was convicted, put on trial, declared guilty, and sentenced up to 9 years of prison. After that, the remaining band members were on a hiatus to form another band called Woven Bear, which proved to be pretty successful with the vocalist Shane Blay. It looked like that the members put Tim and the memory of As I Lay Dying behind until a bombshell dropped. Tim Lambesis was released early from his 9-year sentence in December of 2016. People were conflicted upon the news. Many said he was going to reoffend, while some people were hoping that he was a changed man. But then, some people were more shocked to hear that As I Lay Dying brought forth a new single in 2018 called My Own Grave, in promotion of their new album the following year. Whether you think Tim is a scummy person, or that he's a changed person, try to do better. You cannot deny that this is the comeback of not just 2019, but this decade. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin the review for Shaped by Fire. Shaped by Fire was an album that was actually produced and mixed by the band themselves. Now, most of you guys know on my stance onto artists who actually produce their own content, their own music, and I have huge respect to, those artists that really know their craft instead of just hiring a music producer who knows his craft. Like, for instance, Eric Rutan, Will Putney, and, Jacob Henson. But there's nothing wrong with having a producer help you out with some of your music, but I have a deep amount of respect for those who create their own craft. Now, before I begin listing off the tracks that I loved off this album, I just want to point this out again, just like what I did with my Tim Lambesis from Felon to Redemption video. I am very fully aware onto what Tim did was pretty fucking scummy. I think all of us here can side that what Tim did was really horrendous. Attempting to hire a hitman to perform a hit on your estranged wife, it's really fucked up. But I also do believe that people have the capacity. Like, people have the capacity to do great wrongs, but people have the capacity to change and learn from their mistakes and own up to their mistakes and be a better person. I believe that with Tim Lambesis. Unfortunately, I still can't change people's perspectives onto Tim. Like, there are some people in the metal community and metal musicians that I do associate and I do talk to who have very, very strong negative opinions onto Tim Lambesis. And I don't blame them. Most of these people, had, friends or sisters or mothers that have gone through abuse over, partners. And it really grinds their gears. But I'm also a person that does believe that as much as people can do great evil, they can do great good. And in this case, people can own up and learn from their mistakes after serving behind bars and really decide to change for the better. And I can see that with Tim. Now, I'll talk more about Tim later on to this review, but we are going to go over on to the songs, which obviously all you guys are here for the songs. So, let us begin. Now, the first song on this list is the second track off of the album, Blinded. Now, I really do like this song because it sounds almost like you're listening to Oceans Between Us or Shadows Are Security, which are basically the two albums that are my bread and butter when it comes to As I Lay Dying. Now, the lyrical meanings suggest on, someone who is blinded by their own selfish gains and selfish means and just blind out of, any good reason. Now, I think all of us have had those same experiences in our lives, that we were blinded by following this particular individual that we look up to, blinded by our own selfish desires, thoughts, and stuff. I think all of us have been through that stuff, and not knowing the horrific repercussions it can cause to the people that matter most to us in our lives. Now, this is a pretty kick-ass song, but it also has a very strong meaning, and I do love the chorus that Josh Gilbert, the bass and vocalist, does with this song. Have a listen. The next track on our list is, of course, the title track of this album, Shaped by Fire. It's another great banger song that almost sounds like you're listening to something off of, again, either their old discography or something that new they brought onto the table. And this is a pretty awesome song with another great message behind it because, Shaped by Fire, when I think of the title of the song, it almost makes me think of a phoenix burns into ash and then yet it is reborn into from the ashes. And what we take from it is that Tim Lambesis had to change after he was locked behind bars, and change doesn't happen like that. And I think all of us can agree that we have taken, days, months, or years, even years, to actually change for the better. Change doesn't happen just like that. Change takes a lot of time and commitment to make it happen. And this is a perfect song with another perfect message. So have a listen. The next track on the list, I will indeed say, is the most aggressive track onto this song, Gatekeeper. Now, when I first saw the title track of this song, it made me think of watching Punk Rock MBA's videos, and where he talks about the metal elitists, referring to them as tastemakers and gatekeepers. And actually, listening to this song, it actually is about those people. Now look, I think all of you guys can remember that I was a metal elitist back in the day, in which I would shit on people so hard for listening to Asking Alexandria, Attack, Black Veil Brides, and saying oh, listen to my tracks because they're awesome. And now that I've grown, I saw on how much of a huge cunt I was back then. I was also really not into like Ronnie Radke and Falling in Reverse, which yeah, I still don't like Ronnie Radke, but I don't hate him as I used to back in the day. As far as I know, Ronnie Radke is just a lot like Tim Lambesis, though he has a huge amount of problems. But after watching Finn McKenzie's video on Ronnie Radke, I know he's trying to change for the better. But that's just completely way off the track. I'm getting more onto the track Gatekeeper. So yeah, this song is pretty much just a big fuck you to the metal elitists, the gatekeepers and tastemakers that are the reason why the metal community and rock in a whole is dying. Because like, shouldn't we supposed to be helping out the local metal acts? Should we be helping, you know, other new subgenres of metal get their recognition? Should we be actually supporting and loving new acts instead of just staying in the fucking past? Like, no. We should be supporting new acts and stuff, because all the great metal acts before, like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Mayhem, Cannibal Corpse, yeah, even Cannibal Corpse, they're not gonna be around for a long time. So, like, support bands like Carnifex, for instance. But yeah, that's how I feel about this song. Also, not to mention, it's basically if metalcore met up with Slayer. That's how aggressive this song is. And also, just found out that Slayer just finished up their final show on their farewell tour. So, I'm gonna miss you, Slayer. I'm gonna miss you. It was great seeing you guys last year. But yeah, this is a great song. Have a listen. Now the next track that we are going to be talking about is actually the first single and one of my favorite tracks off of this album, My Own Grave. Now, this is a track in which Tim Lambesis is just saying to the public that, hey, I fucked up. I owned up to my mistakes with this interview right here. The song is about Tim accepting his past mistakes, his guilt and his punishment, realizing that though it was extremely painful to face it, describing it as agony, and being described as more detail in My Own Grave. It shaped him profoundly and is now a part of him. He would not want to go back to the human he was before, even if he had the chance to. He does not want to forget. Obviously, it does not imply that he would make the same decision again. And that's just, you know, the harsh reality of Tim's situation. Because Tim knows that he did wrong. Tim realized that he was about to do a really fucked up thing, and he did his time, and he's a freed man, but he still has a lot to go through. He still has to win the love and acceptance back to the people that used to really follow as I lay dying. He still has a lot to go through. He still has a mountain to climb. And I understand that most of my friends, as well as part of the metal community, have shunned him. I am a person that does believe that he is doing his best to change for the better. I mean, like, look, I think all of us here, myself included, we've all done stuff we're not proud of. And we look back at ourselves, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, we own up to our mistakes, and we make legitimate changes into making ourselves better for not just ourselves, but to the ones around us. And I think that's a really, really good song about the beauties of redemption. And I will bring this back up, you know, my Jesse Taylor video. If y'all remember, my former boss was like Satan in the flesh, and he would just take out all of his anger out on me. And ever since he had that stroke, he became a changed person. And that's how I view things, is that I do believe that the baddest of people, when something really crazy happens to them that changes their lives forever, they own up, they learn from, they change for the better. And that is, this song right here is a great example of that. Have a listen. But I became buried alive inside of my own grave, and there's no one else to blame. Buried alive inside of my own grave. And now we go to our final track of this album, Redefined, which actually features special guest vocalist Jake Lurs. You all know him best as being the frontman of the Pennsylvania metalcore band August Burns Red. Now, I'm not a big fan of August Burns Red, but I can absolutely respect the band for grinding, just like bands like the Black Dahlia Murder, Every Time I Die, and Parkway Drive, you know, after watching Finn McKenty's video. But yeah, this song, it almost sounds like, in a way, of Nothing Left, which is one of my favorite As I Lay Dying songs from the band, with the riffs and the drumming and like the chorus done by Josh Gilbert as well as Jake Lurs. It's a pretty awesome song that also brings up the nostalgia feels for me because of the song Nothing Left they made all those years ago. Have a listen. Shaped by Fire is indeed a very great album in my opinion. Shaped by Fire shows to all of us that despite one person's wrongdoing of the band, that you own up to your mistakes, step back up, make the legit changes for not just yourself, but those around you, and win back the hearts of those who used to associate with you. Now, I can't change a lot of people's perspectives onto Tim Lambesis. I really can't. They have to do it themselves. But to people like myself, I really do hope that Tim Lambesis really continues on his journey through redemption. Shaped by Fire, without a doubt, gets a 10 out of 10 for this review. So, what did you guys think about Shaped by Fire? Did you guys like it or did you dislike it? Do you think that Tim is trying to change for the better, or do you still think that Tim Lambesis is a big piece of shit? Leave your comments down below. This is like the last episode of this year, the TheDeathMetaller reviews. I'm going to be working on my end of the year video, but without a doubt, there's going to be a lot of awesome stuff coming up in regards to next year, in regards to the Death Metal Historian, Death Metal Reviews, Death Metal Cinemas. I am gonna be trying to grind myself in order to get those series out there onto my channel. So I hope you all enjoy this review of the TheDeathMetaller reviews. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus, the TheDeathMetaller. Hope you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Links are down in the description below. Keep metal, have an excellent and blessed day, y'all.